Matthew 25. Okay, so we are in the parable of the talents. So I'm going to back up to verse 22 and read the rest of the parable from there. And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you have delivered to me 2 talents here. Here I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I know you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him. Give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given. Let me reread that because it stumbled out of my mouth with a bad flow. Verse 29 of Matthew 25. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. I'll say that again. Starting with verse 28 for context. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, servant number 1 invests 5 talents, makes 5 more talents, risks much, and receives much as a reward, and is blessed for his risking. Servant 2, same process, but with proportional results. 2 for 2, and 4 total. Servant number 3, however, makes an interesting set of comments. He says, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. The master, the king, the father, has ultimately created all things, and there are people who are sowing and investing, walking in the principles, and as a result the king is reaping from their fields and blessing them with a harvest. As a result, even though they weren't sons of the kingdom, they happened to be walking in principles. So, he gathered from where he scattered no seed, and he reaped from where he did not sow. Because the king has the right and the prerogative to gather from fields that belong to servants that don't explicitly work for him. But if the servants walk in principles, cause and effect, they're going to reap a harvest of some sort. And the king is going to gather because that is a reflection of his character. His character is as a provider. His character is as the Father of lights. Every good and perfect gift comes from him. Whether or not you acknowledge him is irrelevant, because every good and perfect gift comes from him, whether it's given to a believer or a non-believer. Scripture also says in another place that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. He causes the sun to rise on both the just and the unjust. The sun comes, the rain comes, the winds beat against the houses. Whether the house is founded on the rock or the sand, the same conditions will eventually and ultimately come to both. So there is something in the character of the Father who has provided, where he is going to reap and gather from places that he did not sow into. But because people are walking in principles and they're sowing, whether or not they're intentionally doing it on his behalf or not, he's going to receive some of that benefit, because it is a reflection of his nature and it's part of his creation. He created things to work a certain way, and when they work, when the principles work, when they go back and forth, and you get the cause and effect relationships, he's going to reap something. Because it's his due, because this is his glory, because it's ultimately his field, whether or not people realize it. The servant was recognizing this, that the master is an indiscriminate gatherer and harvester. Gatherer and harvester.
There's definitely a component, even if they weren't willing to, follow through, there was definitely a lazy component, though.
Correct.
Yes, I grant you that nobody knew how long he was going to be gone, but this is not the age of the airplane and the train. Travel takes time. And so if the master set off on his quest to go around to all of the places that he owned and check on his investment, that could have been a year or two process. It wasn't a 10-day process or a 2-day process. So the people that he got, the talent or more talents, knew they had some time, and I agree. At the very least, he should put it on investment with the bankers, or worked with somebody who knew what they were doing, used the tools in his hand. He had a tool. He could have partnered with somebody who had a little bit of knowledge about investments, and maybe he only made a half a talent, but he still followed through. He still did something with it. Burying it in the ground is the equivalent of saying, like this to the person who gave it to you, I'm not willing to do anything, not to risk for better or for worse.
Thumb in your nose at the person.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bury it and walk away because I can't stand the idea of facing you with loss, and should have been wise enough to know you shouldn't have been able to face them with nothing. So.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yes. Or like in Romeo and Juliet at the very beginning, do you bite your thumb at me, sir? I do not bite my thumb at you, but I do bite my thumb. Biting our thumb at the master when we don't invest, but we bury what he's given us. Now, here's another dynamic that I wanted to share with y'all. A talent was worth about 20 years' wages. So, if you have 20 years of salary, that's a substantial piece of, chunk. And he's handing one person 5 talents, so 100 years worth of salary. He's handing another one 40 years worth of salary, and another one 20 years worth of salary. There's something you can do with that. If you hit mutual funds at an average rate of 12%, after, let's say the master's gone for 20 years, and you're handed, so let's say somebody makes $100,000, you're handing somebody, $2 million, if it's 20 years wages?
I think so.
Yeah, so somebody gets $2 million and they invest it over the course of 20 to 40 years, you end up coming out with something like, 8, 10, 20 million, some obscene amount of money. You can do something with that.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you stick it in the bank in a 2% or a 3% rate return on investment, or whatever the case, something that doesn't keep pace with inflation, you're still adding several $100,000 at minimum. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions. Are talents still around?
I don't believe so. I believe that is an ancient form of weight.
And do you think if someone had one, do you think it would go for a lot?
Yeah, a talent of gold would definitely go for a lot.
Okay, just wondering.
Because if I remember correctly, a talent of gold it weighs about, oh goodness, somewhere in the ballpark of 20 to 30 kilograms. So multiply that by 2.2 and you get pounds. So 50 pounds worth of gold. You think you could do something with 50 pounds worth of gold if gold is what, an ounce?
Oh gosh, the last time I looked at it was $14.29, but it could be, that was a while ago.
$1,429 an ounce, and
An
if you have
ounce.
if you have 50 pounds of gold.
That's insane.
There's 16 ounces in a pound.
Yeah.
Dang, even if I sold 1 ounce, that'd be insane.
Yeah. You trade an ounce for Charizard card. There you go.
$960 for 1 pound.
Well,
Not
no.
if it's $1,449
Or for
an ounce.
Yeah.
for
1,400
for-
bucks an ounce.
Yeah.
Times 16.
Times 16.
Times 50.
okay, I'm misheard.
That's
That's
a
a
lot
bit.
of money. It's a lot of money.
That's a nice bit of change there. So, what we're saying, gang, is, you know, we like to focus in on, it wasn't fair, he gave somebody 5, somebody 2, and somebody 1. You know, if I'm getting even a talent of gold to do something with, like, shoot, give the other one 5 if you want to. I'm fine. I'll go invest this thing. We'll make something on it. Let's roll. Shoot. I mean, the Lord gives you. We want to argue about a quarter cup of infinity versus a whole cup of infinity. Like, we want to take the Lord's measure that He gives us, and we want to compare it against somebody else's measure. Or we want to say the Lord is a wicked and hard master. The Lord who enabled us to invest even a portion of what He has. That's an honor of itself. He means He trusts us. He's willing to see where we will go with something. He's willing to partner with us in a venture of some sort.
Don't be deceived. He's given each of us 1 or more talents. You can translate that as a natural talent, like playing the drums or whatever.
Oh, sorry.
But the truth is, He's given each of us a design. He's given each of us a birthright. He's given each of us raw materials. He's given each of us exposure to various teachings. He's given each of us the Word.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has given us this. He is looking to see what we do with what He's given us, just like the Master in this story. And whenever our time is up, short or long, He is going to call us into account for what we did with what He gave us. Did we use the raw materials? Did we just waste it and spend it on ourselves? Did we invest in the kingdom for a gain or a loss? Did we invest in the kingdom? Did we take the risk? Did we move forward in what He had for us? Okay? I really, really believe that the manager in this story, the king in this story, if one of the people had gone, let's say the guy with 2 talents had gone up to him and had said, "You gave me 2 talents, and I invested here, 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 and here, and here, and then we had a terrible drought, and I lost these because of the drought, because we weren't able to get a return on that crop and that crop and that crop, and I reinvested the next year, and the drought continued, so He gave him back 1 talent instead of 4 talents."
Mm-hmm.
I think that the master would have said, "Well done, because at least you took the risk. You used the raw materials. You worked through a situation." I think he still would have been rewarded.
Yeah.
As long as he was moving forward and taking the risk and trying to make the investment good.
The question is, did you even bother risking it? He's looking at that question in us on a regular basis. Am I willing to risk it by stepping out into what I'm made to do, which is write books, write articles, write work, write on the scripture? Am I willing to do what I'm made to do? Am I willing to take the talent that I've been given, i.e. a piano for Hanukkah, and learn how to play it? What have you been given? You've been given something. You've got something in your hand. And instead of focusing on what we think is the master's nature, instead of focusing on what other people have, our responsibility is to focus on what we have. We're coming up to the season of Hanukkah where we give and exchange gifts. And there are gifts from years past that we have not unpacked.
Alright, man. Did you
So, our responsibility is to run with what He's given us and not to focus on what we think is His character or what we think others have been given and thinking that their gift is better than our gift. The Lord has given us a gift that is specifically tailor-made for us. Are we going to walk in it? So, gang, my exhortation to all of you, take an inventory of what the Lord has given you and run with those things and sow in, invest in what you have been made to do and how you've been hardwired. And I bless each of you to follow through with everything the King has given you and has made available to you. We love y'all, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.